Hello students, today we'll learn about some special types of groups. These are groups of functions. So far we have learned about some groups, say set of integers, set of real numbers, set of matrices. Now this is a group of functions. So the group will be the collection of all the functions, and these groups are called permutation groups. So for that, first of all, we learn what is a permutation. Okay, so permutation of a set, we define a permutation on a set. Permutation is nothing else but it's a function defined on a set. So let's learn what is the definition of permutation. And permutation group of A. Okay, so what is a permutation? It's nothing else, it's a function. Permutation of a set A is a function from A to itself, that is both 1 1 and onto, right? And what is a permutation group? It is the collection of all permutations of A, right? Permutation group of A is a set of all permutations of A that form a group under function composition. Alright, so what is a permutation? Permutation is nothing else but a function, and it has to be both 1 1 and onto. Now we are defining a function on a set A. Permutation of a set A is a function from A to A itself, that is both 1 1 and onto. Permutation group of A is a set of all permutations of A that form a group under function composition. So far we have learnt of all the groups where we have collection of matrices, collection of integers, collection of real numbers, or some other kinds of groups. Now this is a special type of group which is collection of functions. Okay, so permutation of a set A is a function from A to A itself, that is both 1 1 and onto. Permutation group of A is a set of all permutations of A that form a group under function composition. Alright, so there are some important points that are present in this definition, and those are that the permutation has to be both 1 1 and onto. Alright, and what is the operation? Obviously we learnt, when we learnt about groups, we learnt that group is defined by a binary operation and a non-empty set. Okay, to define a group we need a non-empty set and we need a binary operation. Alright, and function composition serves as a binary operation here. Alright, and that is precisely the reason we are defining these permutation from set A to A itself, because the range of that function should not go out of the set. Okay, so say we define alpha from A to A. Okay, so From high school, we have learned the definitions of one and onto function. Let's repeat these definitions quickly. Okay. So first we learn about what is an onto function. Okay. So if a function is defined from a set A to A, we say that, or we let's generalize it for now. We say that f is onto when for every b belonging to b there exists some a belonging to a such that fa is equals to b. So this is the definition of onto. So suppose we have these two sets A and B. When do we call a function to be onto? A function is onto when every element in the range set is mapped by some element in the domain set. Okay. So when we are defining a function, it's not necessary that the entire, say we have b1, b2, b3, b4. Alright, we have 4 elements. The range of this function is say, it's not range, basically the codomain. We call it a codomain, right? So this is b1, b2, b3, b4 and say a1 and a2. Alright, suppose we have a goes to b1, a1 goes to b1 and a2 goes to b2. Now these b3 and b4 is not mapped by any of the elements in A. So this function is not onto. Alright. And when we have say a3 and a4, say a3 is mapped by b3 and a4 is mapped by b4. So every element has a mapping in the domain set. Okay. So that function is called onto. Now next part is to understand what is a one-one function. Although we have learned these definitions in high school, so but still let's repeat these. Now what is a one-one function? I am repeating these definitions because we will need it later on to compute order of the permutations. Okay. So what is a one-one function? It says that fx equal to fy implies x is equals to y for every xy in A. For now, let's say f is a function from A to B. Alright. So, what is this definition saying? If at all the value is same at any point, at 2 points, it means that it has to be the same point. I mean, it means that different xy not. It means that for any different values of xy, we cannot have fx equals to fy. We cannot have the same value of that function for any two different values in the domain set. Alright. So let's understand by a figure. So this is my set A, this is my set B. Alright. So what is a one-to-one function? Suppose A1 goes to B1, alright, and these are all different values, and A2 also goes to B1, A3 goes to B3, A4 goes to B4. Now, first of all, since we learned the definition, just now learned the definition of onto function, this is not onto because B2 is not mapped by any of the elements in its domain set, alright. And secondly, this is not 1 1 because these two different values in the domain set are giving the same value, alright. So this is not a 1-to-1 function. So here we can say that when do we say that a function is not 1-to-1? It means that there exists, just negate the statement, there exists some pair of elements in the domain set, some non-equal pair of elements in the domain set belonging to A such that fx is equals to fy. So this, if this condition holds, then we say that the function is not onto, alright. So in this case we have A1 and A2 which are both giving us the value B1, alright. So this is not 1 1. If at all it was like this, A1 goes to B2, then we could say that this is a 1 1 function because for every different element we are getting a unique range value, okay. And just negating the statement, we get this statement, okay. So this is the definition of 1 1 function and onto function and a function which is not 1 1. We will consider some examples. You will understand the definition of 1 1 function only by visualizing some examples. And we know that from high school a function has its inverse only if and only if it is 1 1 and onto. If both conditions are satisfied, then the function has an inverse, alright. So when defining a group, since we are defining a group of functions, so each element of the group will be a function, and we know that for a set to be a group, every element needs to have inverse. Every element needing inverse means that these functions need to be 1 1 and onto. This is how the definition has been framed, if at all we were not saying that this is not 1 1 and onto, what would happen if this was missing in the definition? That means we would not have inverses for every element in that set, and that would violate the axiom of a group. So that is why this is necessary. So understanding why each and every point has been included in the definition is very important, and that is why I emphasize more on understanding than learning. Learning by understanding is a very good way of remembering things. You will never forget that why this definition has both 1 1 and onto. It is because every element needs to have an inverse. And why we are saying A to A itself, if it was not the case, we could not have guaranteed the onto property, okay. So we are defining all the same set. So permutation of a set A is a function from A to A itself, that is both 1 1 and onto. Permutation group of A is a set of all permutations of A that form a group under function composition. Now what is function composition? Let's quickly revise it, okay. For example, we have f is defined from A to B, alright. Now for a function composition, what should be its domain set? If I write f of gx, f of g, okay, usually it's denoted by fog, but you can simply write fg, okay, f of gx. So we can bring it inside f of gx. Now what is the value of gx? F is defined from A to B. That means that range of g has to be inside A. It has to be a subset of A. Whether it is a proper subset or not, that depends. But range of G has to be a proper or improper subset of A. It has to be a subset of A, right? So we can say that it can be anything. We can say that it is defined from C to A. All right. So FOG, what can be the domain and range of this function FOG? It will be defined from C goes to A and A goes to B. So it is defined from C to B. Now these are three functions. F is defined from A to B, G is defined from C to A, FOG is defined from C to B. How it is, how these I have defined these sets is the range, since it is Gx is inside F, the range has to be a subset of A. Whether it's proper or improper, that doesn't matter. Secondly, what is the range of FOG? It has to be contained inside B. Alright. Gx will lie in A. Now F is from A to B. That means F will lie from, this value will lie inside B. So this is called function composition. Okay. So we were trying to understand some examples of 1-1 functions. So let's come back to that. Now we have understood each and every word of this definition. 1-1 onto function and set of all permutations of A form a group under function composition. What is function composition? Now we know that also. And just for clarity, I'm taking few examples of whether a function is 1-1 or not. For example, this is the graph of say mod x. So is this 1-1? No, because to find out whether a function is 1-1 or not, you just have to draw horizontal lines. While drawing horizontal lines, you will check whether this line cuts the same graph at different points or not. So these are 2 points. Say this is 1, x is equals to 1. This is x is equals to -1. So here we have, now f of 1 is 1, f of -1 is also 1. So this is f is not 1-1. Alright, so this is example. When you have to decide whether a function is 1-1 or not, just draw horizontal lines, and if it cuts the same graph at the same values, you will get to know that it's not 1-1. Alright, and the example of a 1-1 function is, say fx is equals to e power x. It's increasing simply. This is the graph of fx is equals to e power x. This is exponential function. Okay, so we cannot have for every x1 not equal to x2, fx1 is not equal to fx2. Why do we prove this definition inversely? Conversely. So this is because that is easier to prove. To prove that x1 not equal to x2 and then proving that fx1 is not equal to fx2 is little might turn out to be little tricky. So we usually prove fx1 equals to fx2 implies x1 is equals to x2. These are two opposite definitions, but both are definitions of a 1-1 function. So do we remember some more 1-1 functions? So let's take an example, another example of a function which is not 1-1. So what can be that? Let's have this circle. This is a circle of radius 1 and its value will be this. So y is generally plus minus square root of 1 minus x square. Okay, so this is the function. So is it a one-to-one function? No, this is not a one-to-one. If it was simply this, if it was simply this value, then the graph would have been like this, and still it was not a one-to-one function. This is in any case not a one-to-one function, alright? And let's learn by graphs. It is very easy to prove whether a function is one-to-one by drawing its graph. So that makes it very easier. So next is, take some examples. Now to define permutation groups, we have taken some good examples of one-one onto functions and functions which are not one-to-one. Now let's talk about proper permutations of a set and permutation group of A. Now in this abstract algebra, we'll talk about permutations on a finite set. We will not talk about permutations on an infinite set. Alright. Unlike calculus where we have functions defined on infinite sets, in this case we'll define our functions on the finite set. And in calculus, where the functions values are usually defined by formulas. For example, I have defined fx is equals to x square or modulus of x. This is some formula, or we can say that x square. Alright. So where we define these function values by formulas, in abstract algebra these are given by explicit listing of each element of the finite set A on which we are defining the permutation and its corresponding function value. For example, we are defining a permutation. Since we are talking of finite sets, if A is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, we can define a permutation alpha 1. It is usually expressed in the form by explicitly listing each element of the set A and its corresponding functional value. Alpha 1 is 2, alpha 2 is 3, alpha 3 is 4, and alpha 4 is 1. Alright. Now, there is a more convenient way to express this correspondence between the domain values and the functional values. And we express that correspondence in an array form, which can be expressed as 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, and 4, 1. Alright. Now, how do we write array form? Just write all the values of the domain set. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 1 goes to 2. Write its corresponding range value or functional value here. 2 goes to 3, 3 goes to 4, 4 goes to 1. So this is how a permutation is written in an array form. Now let's talk about multiplication of permutations. Now it's not actually multiplication, since we learned that we denote the operation by this symbol, multiplication symbol or a dot symbol. So here the binary operation is composition of functions. So whatever we can say when we say that multiplication of permutations, that is not actually the multiplication, it's the composition of functions, right? So let's write down any two permutations and find out the composition of those functions. alpha is and beta is okay. So we know that these permutations are 1 1 and onto. Obviously permutation is a 1 1 onto function, so these functions are 1 1 and onto, and we just need to find out what is the value of alpha beta. We do not write any symbol, it's just understood that we are doing this operation under function composition. Now what should be alpha beta? Let's say find out alpha beta 1. It means that alpha of beta 1, which is equal to alpha of what is beta 1? 1 goes to 5. So beta 1 is 5. Alpha 5 is 1. Okay. So alpha beta 2. 2 goes to, sorry, beta 2. First beta comes inside. Beta 2 is alpha 4 is equals to alpha 4 is 5. Okay. So alpha beta 3. What is beta 3? 1. So which is equal to alpha 1, and alpha 1 is 2. Now alpha beta 4. What is beta 4? 2. So this is alpha 2, which is 4. Alright. And alpha beta 5. What is beta 5? 3. So which is equal to 3. Okay. So let's write down these values. 1 goes to 1. 2 goes to 5. 3 goes to 2. 4 goes to 4. And again 5 goes to 3. So these are values of alpha beta. So how do we express it in array form? How do we express it in array form? Alpha beta will be 1 goes to 1, 2 goes to 5, 3 goes to 2, 4 goes to 4, 5 goes to 3. Alright. So this is basically, I can say that this is multiplication of two permutations. Okay. So instead of computing each and every element, we can directly find out this array looking at these two permutations. How? You just have to, when we write alpha beta, when we want to find out the value of alpha beta, what do we need to do? Start from the right hand side, because when we are writing alpha beta of x, alpha beta x, beta comes first in that order. So when we are writing alpha beta and applying the value to the element x, so beta comes first instead of alpha. So we have to start from right hand side. Beta, we compute beta value, then we compute alpha value at the element which is range of beta. Okay. So start from right hand side. 1 goes to 5. Alright. Let's write like this. 1 goes to 5 and then 5 goes to 1. Alright. This is 1. 2 goes to 4 and 4 goes to 5. Then we have 3 goes to 1 and 1 goes to 2. Alright. Then we have 4 goes to 2 and 2 goes to 4. Then we have 5 goes to 3 and 3 goes to 3. Now let's find out whether these two permutations are same or not. This we found out by computing each and every element, and this is we did it directly just having a look at these permutations. 1 goes to 1, 2 goes to 5, 3 goes to 2, 4 goes to 4 and 5 goes to 3. Now let's find out what is the value of beta alpha. Alright. What is the value of beta alpha? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First write down all the domain elements. Now start from the right hand side, which is alpha. 1 goes to 2 and 2 goes to 4. Then 2 goes to 4 and 4 goes to 2. Then 3 goes to 3 and 3 goes to 1. Then 4 goes to 5 and 5 goes to 3. And 5 goes to 1 and 1 goes to 5. So this is the value of alpha, beta alpha. And what was the value of alpha beta? Well, let's write down. 1 goes to 1, 2 goes to 5, 3 goes to 2, 4 goes to 4, 5 goes to 3. Alright, so we find out that alpha beta is not equal to beta alpha. So this is non-commutative. This is not commutative. Okay, so alpha doesn't commute with beta. So this is how we apply operations on sets, on functions that are defined on finite sets. Now let's talk about the identity element. What should be the identity element here? It should be 1 goes to 1, 2 goes to 2, 3 goes to 3, 4 goes to 4, 5 goes to 5. It should be like this, because when you multiply any, say, beta is 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to 3, 3 goes to 4, 4 goes to 5, 5 goes to 1. Okay, so multiply alpha by beta. Start from right hand side. 1 goes to 2. Okay, and this we know that since alpha fixes each element, when do we call that the permutation fixes element A? It means that alpha of A is A goes to A. So it means that A is fixed by the permutation alpha. Alright, so 1 goes to 2 and this element is fixed by alpha, 2 goes to 2. So 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to 3, 3 goes to 3. Because the range element will always be itself. 3 goes to 4, 4 goes to 4, 4 goes to 5, 5 goes to 5 and 5 goes to 1 and 1 goes to 1. So this is how we define the identity. Every element goes to itself. So this is the identity element. I am just trying to, find out by examples what should be the identity, what should be the inverse. Okay, so we know that these are just simple methods how to find out identity and inverses. For example, alpha is 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to 3, 3 goes to 4, 4 goes to 5 and 5 goes to 1. Now we need to find out its inverse. We know that identity is an element that fixes every element of the domain, and inverse is the element such that when we multiply alpha into alpha inverse, we get identity. Alright, so in this case identity is a function, it's not simply a value. Now what should be the identity function? We need a function such that every element is fixed by itself. Alpha, beta, alpha inverse should fix every element. Alright, so this should be, since we start from right hand side, what is the value that is sending the domain value to 1, because we need that 1 should go to 1 ultimately by multiplying. So the result value should be 1. Result value here is 1. Now if I write here 5, what will happen? By multiplying, 1 goes to 5 and 5 goes to 1, we'll get 1 goes to 1. Alright, this is how we are trying to find out the inverse. 2 should go to 2. What is the resulting value 2 here? Here 2 goes to 1. Now 2 goes to 1 and 1 goes to 2. And implies multiplication will be the value 2. 3 is here. Just write down its corresponding domain value 2. 4 is here. Write down its corresponding domain value 5 is here. 4. Alright. So isn't it 1 1 on 2? Now find out alpha inverse. We found out such that it should fix every element. So there's no point that it will not be an identity element. 1 goes to 5, 5 goes to 1, 2 goes to 1, 1 goes to 2. So this is just try multiplying like we did learned permutation multiplication. So we get identity for it. Let's also try alpha inverse alpha. Is it identity? Start from right hand side, 1 goes to 2 and 2 goes to 1. Then 2 goes to 3, 3 goes to 2. 3 goes to 4, 4 goes to 3. 4 goes to 5, 5 goes to 4. Then 5 goes to 1 and 1 goes to 5. So this is also identity. Hence alpha inverse, alpha is equals to alpha inverse is equals to identity. Got it? So let us now remove this definition. Since we have learned enough information on what are permutations defined on a finite set, then how do we calculate its inverse, how do we multiply permutations under function compositions, what is a function composition, what is a 1 1 on 2 function. So I think that's enough for today's class. We have learned basics of permutations, and in the next class we will learn some special notations. Like we had an array notation that we learned in this class, we will have cyclic notation, which is cyclic notation of a permutation. We'll learn about this and how to multiply cycles or say permutations written in cyclic notations, and further theorems on permutation groups. Alright, thank you for watching this video.